Drake Bell pled guilty to text messages, but he was found innocent for the rest accusations. The girl lied under oath.
There was an individual who I had conversed with on Instagram, and I hadn't known her age. And so I started conversing with her, and she became, for lack of better words, kind of obsessive. And when I found out that, how old she was, I stopped communication and blocked her and cut it off, and that kind of sent her into a tailspin. And she started contacting my wife and threatening my wife. And
after the whole investigation, we actually found out that she was stalking me as well and had photos of me and married messages of me as well. She wrote me on Instagram from multiple accounts,
saying that she was gonna, tell people that this had happened and all of these lies and all these things had happened that hadn't happened. A lot of these accusations coming out about a lot of people, the accusation stuck, and it went into a full-on police investigation, and it was wild. They went in, they took my phones and my computers, and the whole 18-month investigation, investigating the claims. Yeah, almost 2 years about investigating the claims that this person had made.
But you never met her, did you?
She came to concerts, yeah. She came to concerts, but I didn't know, you meet fans and they're these 5-second hug and a kiss and an autograph. There was never any extracurricular activities, if you will, It was.
Sorry to ask you, did you rape her?
No, of course not. I didn't do any of the things she said, and thankfully the forensic evidence showed it. I would still be in trouble because of my irresponsible act of, not making sure I knew what I was supposed to know, and we would have had the same outcome, but it would have been in the papers. It would have been like the Depp trial. It would have been, everybody be watching under a microscope. My wife we just found out my wife was pregnant. We'd had the baby during this whole process. And so at home, I just wanted to get home and get back to work and get all this behind me. And the fastest and smoothest way to do that was to just say, okay, I'll take responsibility for what I've done here, as long as we're able to, dispute everything, all of the false accusations that have been made. But my mistake was conversing with this person not knowing how old she was, and that's what I got in trouble for. Because the story had been changed throughout the entire course of this process. It had gone from, it was consensual, we had a relationship, to I forced her to do things, to it was non-consensual, forced, coerced, her story kept changing, so that when her statement at trial came out, the judge had to say, this is something that the court has never heard before. And the reports came out that I was, I had to register, that California was going to put me on the sexual registry, that this and that, and none of it's remotely even true. I travel, I just got back from Europe. I'm here in Mexico all the time. If anything that was, any of the accusations were remotely true, obviously I wouldn't be sitting here. Literally, the offense was distributing matter harmful to a juvenile. Basically, I flirted with a girl that I didn't know was underage, and that was it. And the reason I pled guilty to even the charges that I was charged with was because my attorney looked at me and said, look, this is what a trial is going to look like. You're going to go, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. My wife and I had just had a son. So they're like, your son's going to be sitting behind you watching this happen, and the media is going to twist it any way they want that's going to make it the most clickable as possible. And it's going to be every day. People are going to be watching what's happening every day. And anybody is going to be able to say anything they want on the stand, whether it's true or not. And unfortunately, we see guilty people walk away and innocent people go to jail every day.
Yeah.
And I just looked at them and I was like, what? Well, what's the other option? Said the other option is you take responsibility for this this here and what you did here. You take responsibility for that, and we charge you. You'll get, probation, community service, and you won't miss a day in California with your son. And I said, I'll take the one where I don't miss a day in California with my son. And so that's why I pleaded guilty. But now it goes over. Drake Bell pleads guilty. It's like, no, I was presented with two options. You would have done the same thing.
These are the messages from people who knew or met the girl that accused Drake Bell. Unfortunately, the media don't show the facts about Drake Bell's case and tries to make their articles clickbaited, not caring that they spread false information. The truth must come out.
Since the time of her allegation, when she claims that this happened, she went to 9 additional concerts. She went to 9 additional concerts that he was at. She would message him saying, I miss you. When we talk about the kind of different reality, I think one of the points that stood out most to me was in the victim's videoed statement to the detective in this case from the Cleveland Police Department at Tenasio, when he asked her, has anyone come to speak to you on behalf of the defense? And she said, yes. And the detective said, who was that? Well, they're the private investigator for Mr. Bell. And the prosecution, defense, were all in the same room. We heard that. And we knew perfectly well that that had never happened. And then all of a sudden she stated that, oh, you know what? Actually, I was wrong. I was confused. It didn't happen. It seemed really realistic to me. And that showed great concern for credibility and recollection. She talks about the hotel room at the Aloft, and I understand that she has problems with her aunt now, but it is important to show that there was another adult who was there. All of this was shared with the state and the defense. This is why we pled the way that we did. To what was actually done, not what is actually being stated here today. And that friend was very clear, not just in a statement to the defense, but also in another recorded statement to the Cleveland Police Detective Antanasio. And that person stated that the victim had never gone into Mr. Bell's room alone, period. And that was twice stated to us and to the detective. She talks about performing oral sex here today on 2 occasions, stating that there was never that this happened in the back room at the Odeon. We also were able to identify and share witnesses who indicated they had gone back and forth down the hall into that room throughout the night. The door was open. There were people in that room at all times, and this did not happen. She did tell one of her friends, and I'll get to some here in a moment, that she did report this when she did because she did not, or she stated that Mr. Bell did not respond to her liking. His conduct was not correct. It was not proper for what he did. And unfortunately, he did not know who he was speaking with and the damage that this was going to do. But I have to be very clear because it would not be fair to sit there and just accept everything that was said. What occurred, or what the victim is claiming to have occurred here, not only am I saying that it did not happen, not only would Mr. Bell say that that did not happen, but the evidence in the evidence in this case would suggest it did not happen.